What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are reviewing the SBL 2 by Gavin Fuzzy. I am a big fan of the SBL, and when I saw that he was working on a second version, I knew I had to pick one up at some point, and I finally did that. This is the beta 2 version, but it is identical to the full release. And yes, he just released this blaster to the masses, so definitely check this out because you're not gonna wanna miss this one. This one's incredible, you guys. It is a step above the SBL in my opinion, and that blaster is probably one of my favorite 3D printed blasters I've ever had. So that just tells you how much I like this thing. Spoiler alert, this thing is awesome. So cannot wait to share all the features with you guys because there's a lot in this one. The hardware kit is top notch, the best I've ever seen on a 3D printed blaster. Because honestly, there's really not that much 3D printed to this blaster. It's just all cosmetic stuff. Pretty much everything that is functional, besides maybe the mag release and the trigger, is machined out of Delrin or aluminum. Incredible. So when Gavin designed this, he designed it with competitive Nerfers in mind. He really wanted to have the platform smaller than the original SBL, which I used in competitive, but yes, it was a little big at times, and that was probably its biggest downfall. If you want something that is a mag in front of the grip setup, this is definitely something you need to check out because this prime right here is light and it is smooth, you guys. Like, I've never felt a smoother prime in my life, and I don't really know truly why it's so smooth. I mean, obviously these really high quality custom metal parts and Delrin sled here is probably a lot to do with it. This is self-lubricating and rides on those metal rails really nicely, and I feel like that's what gives it such a smooth prime. It's just really high quality. We will go ahead and test out the seal. Virtually 100% sealed, definitely good enough. The plunger is also Delrin, and then we have tons of aluminum CNC parts. So there's just too much really to even go over, but I will put a list to show you guys all the things you get in this hardware kit because it's incredible. There is just so much going on. It's just top notch. Really can't say any more about it. We do have a printed metal part back here, which is pretty darn sweet. An SLM print, which I wasn't sure if it was cast or printed, but evidently this is a printed part and it is very strong. It has a Picatinny rail, so you can attach Picatinny stocks to it. People have used it for folding stocks, which is pretty sweet, but it does come with this stock included, and that attaches to that Picatinny rail and has a lot of positions that you can change the length of the stock. So that's pretty sweet. Definitely very secure and strong. Those are some thick metal rails there, so no issues at all. It also has a place that you can put a sling point on there, snap it in. Pretty awesome. It has that on either side, depending on how you want to sling your blaster. This is a quick teardown blaster. We have 2 pins right here and right here. You can pull those out. Very nice pins, perfectly sized and fit perfectly to the blaster. They are, I think, custom CNC'd also. And we can pull this guy out. There's actually rails in the print that it locks into, which is really nice. And then we can get in here and change out our spring really easily. Throw that back together, and that's how easy it is to change out a spring. So this blaster comes with 5 springs ranging from 150 FPS all the way up to like 225, I believe. He did change that from the beta version, and I believe I got 4 springs that go between like basically the same range, but he added one more and he gave you a little bit more option there. So that's pretty cool that you get 5 springs when you purchase this hardware kit. And I really think that's awesome because being able to hit certain FPS caps is very crucial, especially if you're playing competitive. You want to be under that cap. So let's go ahead and get into some of the features of this blaster. Obviously you have a full Picatinny rail on top. There is iron sights that he includes that are 3D printed, and actually these work pretty darn well. But definitely you can switch those out for any scope or any optic you would like, because this is Picatinny. Obviously, like I said, we have the Delrin Picatinny rail here that this is attached to, the pump grip, and you can use his pump grip here, which I printed out to show you guys, or you can put any Picatinny pump grip on there as long as it won't interfere with your magazine. So you probably are going to need to have one with a smaller footprint there, but that's pretty typical for any of these small springers. So yeah, keep that in mind. But this is actually pretty nice for a 3D printed grip, and it's comfortable and it looks great. There are two different shrouds you can choose from for this blaster. If you want it to come out a little longer and cover more of your barrel, you could definitely go with that version. I went with the smaller version just because I wanted it more compact feeling. So there's definitely that option. And also there's already different skins that people have made for this blaster, which is pretty cool. So you could even change up the look from this if you preferred to have something a little more unique or something that fits your taste a little bit better. But I actually really love the way this looks. So the barrel here is your standard 16 outer, 13 millimeter inner diameter. It is 28 centimeters long, so pretty nice size there. The B-car does not come with the kit, so keep that in mind, but I would recommend adding one on because this is, for the price, probably my favorite B-car I own. There we go, we got that guy back on there because it definitely looks nice to coordinate the color of your B-car with your metal parts, in my opinion. Speaking of color, I believe the release, he has gunmetal, blue, and orange so far. So I don't know how many other colors he's going to do in the future, but I think those are the three he's starting out with. But I'm sure he will do other colors eventually. So the green, you may be out of luck if you're looking for green metal parts like this. But I really wanted a nice bright color because I thought it was important to show off these metal parts because they're just top notch. This blaster is Talon compatible. It is only a half-link blaster, unlike the SBL, which you could make it a half-link or full-link blaster. This is half-link only, which I think is great because I don't really see too many people using full links anymore, especially in springers. So I don't really think there's a need for full links. There is the option of using katana mags with this still, which I feel like is interesting because I don't really see people using that anymore either. But I guess in Singapore, where Gavin is from, I think they still use those some. So it's nice that you have both options. It doesn't take away from being able to use Talons. It doesn't make it any worse. So no harm, no foul there. Mag release is a push on the side here. So no paddle, which honestly, I actually kind of like this. This is really easy to push. It's a really nice push. The mag actually drops out really nicely. So that's pretty sweet. And yes, it's on both sides, so no worries there. That's a nice feature when you're trying to reload quickly for competitive. Trigger and grip are very similar to the SBL. Trigger feels almost the same. It is one of the most comfortable triggers. It's just really smooth, really snappy and responsive. That prime, it catches perfectly, and then, gotta take this off again. The release, it's instant. It's so nice. Grip is designed slightly different the way it's printed. This actually slides up into here, which is a really cool feature, really nice. Everything printed really nicely, by the way. The only slight issue I had is this front upper part does not fit on a lot of printers. It does not fit on the Prusa Mark III, Prusa Mark IV for that matter. So you need a printer that has a taller height than that. I can't remember off the top of my head what it is, but Bamboo Labs printers will be able to print this, and larger printers like that. That's a little disappointing because I had to have a friend print this for me. You could splice it in half, but that's not going to look super great. So that is probably the biggest downside to building this yourself. But you're in luck because Gavin will print these parts for you for a price, of course. So if you want to have him print them for you because your printer can't do it, that is definitely an option. I personally love being able to print things myself just in case something breaks, just in case I want to change the color of something. what have you. It's nice to be able to print all those things. So that's a little bit of a shame that I can't print this upper. Everything else printed great. I didn't need support on anything. I do recommend support underneath the Picatinny rails. Just makes them print a little cleaner. But I think that's the only place I use support really. And honestly, there's very few parts to print, so that's also nice. Some of them are bigger, like the stock portion here, like obviously the grip and the magwell portion. That is a pretty big print, but printed great. I don't think I printed anything twice, so that's also a plus. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put this thing over the chronograph. I'm gonna try out a few different springs, a few different types of darts, and we're gonna see what this thing is made of. Okay, so I went ahead and tested all 4 springs with multiple types of darts over the chronograph, and I'm gonna speed that up for you and put it next to me here because it's a lot. He gives you different color springs, but the springs that you will get now are different than these, so take everything with a grain of salt. He's kind of recalibrated some of these springs and given you actually a 5th spring. So they range from 130 to 235. The blue is 130, the green is 150, the yellow is now 195. Mine was supposed to be 180. I have a purple spring that was 200, but you will not get a purple spring. You will get a pink spring, which is supposed to be 215. And then the big boy is the red spring, and that's supposed to be 235. Mine said 215. So, like I said, some of these have been recalibrated. I'll give you the numbers that I actually got, so I think that's much more useful, but the springs that you get into kit will probably shoot a little different, if that makes sense. So I tested both normal weighted workers and heavy weighted workers because I know that's popular these days, especially for competitive. Average with the green spring, I got 175 with normal weighted darts and 161 with heavies. So that's quite a bit higher than the 150 he was saying it was gonna be. So that's interesting to me. I'm not sure, maybe that's why he needed to recalibrate some things, so that may shoot lower now, not sure. The yellow spring was actually higher also. Normal weighted was 198, heavies was 184. So almost 200, just under 200 FPS, so that's a pretty good one, but I think now it's supposed to be a 195 spring, so maybe that is why that number got adjusted, because it's actually shooting a little hotter than what was expected. Purple spring, which is unique to my kit, that one I got an average of 210 with normal weighted and 191 with heavies, so a little over that 200 he was estimating there. So maybe that turned into a pink spring, and that is now about 215. So yeah, around in that range. And then the red was a little strange, because the red actually shot lower than the purple, and I'm not sure why, but with normal weighted it was 208 average, and with the heavies it was 181 or 188, excuse me. So for some reason it was lower. It definitely is a heavier spring, but I went ahead and actually tested it again with bamboo darts, and then I actually got a much higher average. So that was 228 with bamboos, so that's quite a bit. That's 20 FPS higher, and those are normal weighted bamboos, so not sure what was going on there, but hopefully that's good enough information for you guys. But it's really cool that he is giving you 5 springs, so you have a big range, so you can kind of test them with the type of darts you use and kind of get the right spring for your FPS cap. So I think that's super cool. So obviously this thing packs a punch in a very small package with a very short prime, which allows you to prime this thing very quickly, very impressive, and it is just the smoothest prime. Like I said, love it so much. But if I was gonna nitpick on this a little bit, I would probably say tolerances could be a little tighter. There's a few things that are just slightly loose. There's just a little bit of movement right here. This I keep tightening up. There's just a touch of movement right here. Maybe a double screw here could have been useful, so this doesn't wobble just a little bit. But honestly, I don't really notice it at all when I'm playing with this, and this has been war tested. I actually re-lubricated that O-ring before doing the chronograph test, and now it does have a perfect 100% seal. I'll show you that. So yeah, no issues there at all if you were concerned about it. But for a 3D printed blaster, I think this is probably gonna be my go-to for competitive. And honestly, for pretty much any wars, because of the ability to tune this to kind of whatever FPS I want. And I think that's just so awesome. You get 5 springs with this thing. The hardware kit is immaculate. It is gorgeous. The whole blaster is super simple to build, in my opinion, and it is something that I'm just really fallen in love with. Just to go into a few more details about things that he's done with this hardware kit, he has already pre-threaded all the bolts with thread lock so that you don't have to use the messy blue thread lock. It is already a paste that is on the threads, so it's just there and it works really well. I love that so much. There is a tiny screw right here that holds on your barrel, and it has a rubber end to it so it doesn't dent or penetrate or scratch your barrel, and I think that's awesome. More people should definitely do that. The hardware kit here actually clamps down onto the barrel on the back, so that is really tight, but you do have to make sure you don't tighten these too tightly at first. So you just want to leave those loose until you insert your barrel, and then you can loosen those bolts, and that will help release your barrel. So remember that when you're changing out your barrel or whatever. But all in all, this thing is awesome. I'm really excited to probably build another one at some point because it's just incredible. Also, if you were curious, this thing is super accurate. And I'm gonna show some gameplay footage of me using this at my last Naptown Nerf Club War. We have a sniper game that we play, and this thing proved to be pretty deadly.
Shooter in 3, 2, 1. Yeah. A little higher. There you go. All right, we got it. Go.
That's it. So I knocked down 2 cones that are fairly small actually from about 30 feet away, and then put the third dart into the bunker and did that in 5 shots. So 3 out of 5 is pretty good, especially when you have no permanent way to stable your blaster. You have to do that, you know, with your own human ability. You can't stabilize it with a bipod or anything, which would even increase this accuracy. So I was really impressed with how accurate this thing is, and that was without any sort of scope or anything. That's just using these iron sights. So pretty darn impressive, to be honest. Obviously, I'm gonna go ahead and link in the description where you can pick a hardware kit up, so definitely check that out. If you want a completed build, I think Silver Fox will be doing that soon. This thing is great. I highly recommend building one for yourself. I do not think you'll be disappointed. If you can't build one, definitely look into Silver Fox Industries because he does amazing work with amazing print quality. But thank you guys so much for watching. Smash that like button. Please subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications. And as always, guys, peace out.